Everybody have a good week?
What'd you do?
I stayed around and hunted. My brother came in from New York, and we hunt deer and played golf a little bit. It was nice. No, but it was nice to get out.
What we talk about it, you go to Denver every year, altitude,
Yep.
weather this time of year. Just, what do those factors do for what you guys are trying to
Every
do?
time it seems like we have weather, it seems like we're going to be good this year. You know, right now it looks promising, so that's always a positive. It looked like last week, you know, on Thursday it was cold and windy, and both punters struggled. It looked like, but hopefully we get some good weather. The altitude's always the altitude. You know, it affects the ball flight. You know, it hangs a little longer. You know, we pick up an extra few yards there. But as far as the conditioning goes, I think the guys feel it early in the game, and then it kind of goes away. They get used to it. That's what it seems like to me over the years.
You guys obviously made a big play last year at home against this team. Bye weeks, you have more time to study things like that. I mean, what's it like to kind of be ready to try to make those plays at that time when you really?
I mean, every week we're hoping to make those type of plays. I mean, you know, we're going as hard as we can every time on field goal block. It just happened, you know, that we made a big play at a crucial time, and we're gonna come and we're gonna bring it just as like we always do on every down. You know, it doesn't really change.
Are you starting to see people kick away from Nico and more towards back there?
No, not at all. I think it matters how we line up. You know, I think that, and then the wind, those things are all, you know, and then we kind of move guys. We want certain guys to have the ball at certain times, so we try to, put guys in a position where we think they're going to try to kick it to us in certain things. But Thornton was really good last week, or when we played last. I mean, he was, 4 returns. I think he averaged like 32 yards per return. We had a nice counter where he almost popped it, the second one. So, he's promising back there. And then Nico does a hell of a job blocking. You know, when he doesn't have the ball, he blocks really well. So it's a good combination.
And that was intentional to try and get Thornton more involved in it. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We want him to have the ball. Nico, I feel good with him having it too. I mean, so, I like the tandem that we have back there on kick returns.
Looks like Mims practiced yesterday. What kind of threat is he?
He's great. I mean, I think one of the biggest returns we gave up last year was against him. He's dangerous, and we know he's going to be back. I mean, he's going to be out there for our game, and he's tough to handle. We have to be on our game.
Give us an update on where Harrison is as far as.
He's had a couple good games in a row. I mean, that's great. And he's had a really good practice. I thought it was his best Wednesday practice yesterday. So, the ball's flying good right now. I think the rest might have helped him. Like we talk about, you got to go back to work, and, he does a lot. And I think this break was really good for him because he looked good yesterday. So, I mean, he had 2 good games, and, hopefully we got this thing righted.
Knowles, the active roster, I guess. Knowles, how good has he been for you?
Excellent. I mean, he's been making tackles on kickoff, and he's playing gunner, and he's, he's fast, and he's a real instinctive player. The future's real bright for him, I think, for sure.
Dave, with a game of this magnitude, how do you get these guys to lock in this week
It's
from
easy.
a mentality perspective
It's
that
easy.
they can set the tempo?
Our guys are ready. They'll be ready for this game, for sure. You can feel it already in practice, coming off a bye. They know the urgency. We've been there before. We have enough veterans. We know where we're at. We know where we stand, and, it's an important game on the road. So we'll be ready.
What made you say Harrison had his best Wednesday practice?
The way the ball was rotating, coming off his foot, he was banging it, and it was true and straight, and you could just tell the difference. It just was a different Wednesday, than we've seen. So it was good to see.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks. All right.
Is there a buffet or something? That's always the joke. That's always the joke, right? No, I've heard that before. All right, so it's been a while. Been 2 weeks. It's good to be back at it, guys. We've had yesterday and then the walkthrough this morning. So it's nice when they came back in the building on Tuesday because it's not the same being a football coach without any players. So it's good. With that, I'll just open it up.
I know you're so forward thinking, but I guess back to the Bills game, what were some of the problems, especially at the second level?
Yeah, the tight end was an issue. It was the first one on the touchdown. We decided to take somebody else away. He found the single coverage, and in hindsight, I'd do something differently on that one. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but so there was one, and the big long one to the tight end was just a missed technique that can easily be cleaned up, that we've done 100 times. And so, you get those 2 or 3 explosive pass plays that kind of put you behind the 8 ball and got them down in the red zone. We didn't play very good in the red zone, but all of them were really tight. And so we've talked a lot about that, and it was a little disappointing. We didn't feel like, we were all saying this in the locker room, we just didn't feel like we played our best football. We thought if we had, I think we had a decent chance to win the game, but we didn't. They played better.
Steve, when you sort of did your self-scout audit, or however you want to call it, last week, how much was it skewed by your feelings about the Bills game versus your overall view of where you are? What's your sort of biggest takeaway, I guess?
That's a really good way to put it. We looked at obviously all 9 games and kind of put it all together, but we didn't feel great in the last one. We were feeling pretty good about, I guess, the previous games there. But, all in all, I don't think we've played our best football. I'd like to think we haven't. I do think we need to play better for where we're headed and what we're about to face, not only in the game this week, but what we got going forward. So everybody needs to step it up. It's that time of the year. I think we got guys in our unit in the locker room that recognize that and know how to step it up. So hopefully that's what will happen.
Coach, you mentioned the game this week. Historically, Sean Payton, even going back to his time with the Saints, incorporates a lot of 11 personnel. They consistently rank among the league leaders with that personnel package. What are some of the challenges and unique challenges facing the Payton offense?
Well, I think they do a really good job of changing personnel. They end up in that a lot when you do the numbers and the percentages. That's certainly the highest, and especially early in games, they're rolling a lot of people. If you've watched we'll watch the TV games, and they're rolling bodies in and out. You got to stay on top of that. That's one thing. One thing we have a little bit that we feel a little bit good about is we see 11 personnel from April. Our guys are in it all the time, so it's not something that we're uncomfortable with. But I think they do a really good job in what they have quarterback-wise and what he does really well, and I think that's why they've had some success.
What have you seen from Bo Nix this year compared to last year?
Yeah, listen, so he's got a year under his belt. He looks like he has full command of what to do at the line of scrimmage. You could see that last year as the year went on. He got better and better at that. I think their coaches obviously have confidence in him now with changing plays. And he's another athletic quarterback. Those guys are always a little bit of a headache because even when you're right in what you're doing, he can make you look bad by making you miss.
Noah Williams quite a bit, and Elijah Trent, the slot. Was that matchup dictator?
Yeah, last week you're talking about. Yeah, it was a little bit more. Their slot play was pretty good. So, and I think we talked about this before. Every week's going to be a little bit different. We'll see where we're at this week. So,
I know it's the other side of the ball, but Harrison from Buffalo was talking about Xavier Tippin, what he was doing. I'm just curious how often you run into where you or someone on your side of the ball
can find something.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. We're always looking for it. The best place to get a lot of that stuff is off the TV copies, the broadcast, especially verbal things. I don't know what it was. I don't know what they were talking about there. I don't know if anybody ever discovered it, but listen, our guys, like the back end guys, are always studying wideout stances. How they align. There's, the width alignment, how close are they to the numbers, et cetera, et cetera. And if you can find something to hang your hat on, you do. It's not always easy to do because I think coaches are smart enough to change it up, but I don't know whether they had worked or not. I'm not privy to. I'd heard that, but I don't even know what it was. So I'll let you guys figure it out.
Steve, you had a pretty good pattern of about this time of year and later really getting better and better as you go. I'm sure it's a vast topic, but what do you attribute that to? That generally speaking, you guys have been able
Yeah,
into
that,
the last month.
but we have been able to do that. I hope that continues because we do need to get better. I give all the credit to the assistant coaches and the players. I mean, you got to have coaches that feed it and keep working at it, which our guys do, and then you got to have cerebral players that embrace it, want to get better. We got a lot of guys that, we always talk about chasing improvement, and that's what our guys do. Not every team has that, I don't think, but we're blessed that we got guys that think that way.
Do you feel like it gives you more flexibility earlier,
Yeah.
that you're working towards that as opposed to it's all immediate?
Yeah, I mean, as the season goes, we try to add because we feel like we can with our guys, and I think you can only do that if you got trust in the guys who are going to pick it up and do it. So there is part of that.
We'll go last three. Todd, go ahead.
Coach, you guys generally even keel, big game, little game, whatever. I mean, they're all the same. That's Andy's way. But does this feel like a little different than what you've kind of had the last several years? You generally haven't been the team chasing someone at this point of the season.
It's funny. I get exactly what you're saying, and I guess if I don't do it a lot. Like I'm not one that looks around the league that much. I can honestly tell you that. I mean, and I couldn't tell you the standings of other divisions and all that. I just know I'm kind of just and Andy's built this way, and maybe it's from working with him all those years, but it is truly what's on the plate next. I've always said, now it might be different now because we're at 17 games and not 16, but it's a race to win 10 games, or win as many as you can, and then see if that gets you in the playoffs after. So that's kind of been where the thought process is. Now, we know going to Denver, it's the division game. They're really good. Hopefully we're getting better. It's a big game, so I think our guys feel that.
Nick?
Steve, how important is it to keep Bo unsettled and out of rhythm?
Yeah, it's a rhythm passing game. I mean, what they're really good at is the play action, what I call movement passes, whether it's a boot or whether it's just play action and they block it up. They're really good at that. Now, that's not always easy to get them out of rhythm on those because they've got a lot of people packed in there. So a part of it comes back to tight coverage and getting them hold on the ball a little bit. And then we always talk about somebody's got to punch a hole in the protection.
Last one, Pete.
We know where you'll go with this, but the Giants job opened up and your name was instantly connected.
Yeah, we're good. We're playing Denver. That makes sense?
Go ahead.
Matt, how different is the bye week without an opponent to prepare for? Like, do you get buried in your own stuff? How do you spend that week?
There's a little bit of both. We're able to really dive into the self-scout part. I think that's important. See any tendencies that you might have. Everybody does that. I think sometimes it's telling what you think you might be doing well or not doing well, and sometimes it's flipped. So you hit on that, but then at the same point in time, division game coming up against a great football team. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can and using that time off to work ahead as well.
So is it the former is the self-scout? Is that stuff pretty revealing sometimes?
It can be. Yeah, there's you get the numbers every week, and it kind of tells you where you sit in regards to the rankings. Some coaches take those rankings and they care, I should say politely, they care more or less about some more than others. But at the same point in time, it's important that if you're doing something well, how do you keep it that way? Because the defense is looking at you to stop it. And then at the same, you're also trying to see what are we not doing well, and you usually tend to focus more on that, and then you got to put it into action.
When we talked with Patrick, he was pretty. His self-evaluation against Buffalo said getting through his progressions and also not getting rattled. I guess what did you see against Buffalo?
Really, to me, when you look at it from a bigger picture, you look at it from not so much individual. The thing that stuck out, and we talked about as a team and as an offense, is we started off that game with 3 and out. And then we came out in the second half. We started off the third quarter. We went 3 and out. We were not efficient at the end of the half with getting a touchdown. We got a field goal from the 1-yard line. And they stopped us on 4th down. So the things that we've been good at most of the year, we struggled with. And that's a credit to Buffalo. They did a great job of putting us in those positions, and they're a good football team. So to Pat's always going to be hard on himself. We as coaches want to see schematically where can we be better, and then now you got to be able to respond. It's not going to be an easy year. It's not going to be an easy week. As the weeks go on, you win or lose. You got to. How do you handle adversity?
It's one day and one practice. What did you see from Josh in his first day back?
I thought he did well. Again, excited that he's back in the building. But like you said, it's one practice. Keep that going and just see where that goes.
Matt, with the Broncos defense that can get you, cause you problems at all 3 levels, what type of mindset do the offense have to have this week?
Well, that's the very first thing that jumps out on tape is you go back to some of the statistics and you see the one thing that jumps out to me is, red zone wise, it's not just this year that they're number one. They're good every year. So I think Vance Joseph does a great job at doing some things schematically. He's got great players. That jumps out, making sure we're efficient there. And then just you look at that front. I mean, they lead the league in sacks. They make game-changing plays, which I think is very important. That if you stay in, that's the other thing in the Buffalo game. We had a ton of 3rd and 8, 9, 10 pluses in that game. Stay out of those. They know that, but we know it too, and we got to figure out ways to do it. But they're really good across the board. They've lost some valuable players too, and they're still good. So that's a credit to them.
You just mentioned the 3rd downs. You were by yards per carry. You're pretty effective. Kareem was pretty effective, but you couldn't stay on the field to get him the carries. But do you feel like the run game is kind of hitting with him, even though they didn't have the big total yards last week?
We do. We feel good about that, and I agree with you in the game there versus Buffalo. We had some good things going, and sometimes it's just the rhythm. But big picture for us, as we look at kind of how the year has gone, where we feel with our run game, we feel like internally as an offense that we like some things we're doing, and we want to grow from that. It's so important in these times, especially this time of the year where the weather changes. You can't be one-dimensional, number one, and number two, you always got to be able to run the football. Sets up play action, screens. So we like where we're at. We want to keep that going, and it's going to be a super big test against a great defense.
One of the Buffalo, Hairston mentioned
Yeah.
that Xavier was tipping things. What do you do on that? How do you go back and examine and try to see, or is it just a guy talking smack?
No, I think there's some stuff in there. What I say big picture is, I don't know. We're always looking at our guys. We're always trying to help our guys out with tendencies, not just schematically, but what they're doing as well. So the guys know it. We do that every week, and I don't know where he was coming from with that, other than just saying what he felt. And so let's be able to stay on top of that stuff, look at it, and respect that.
Coach, you mentioned the Broncos sacks. I mean, 15 players on that defense has at least a sack. How do you scheme against something like that, and how important is it for the offensive lineman to trust the guy to the right or left?
Huge. That communication is massive. They're good enough as is one-on-one. So you just go one-on-one, they're really good. Then you throw some stunts and some blitzes and second-level guys coming into it. Then you throw the communication part. They're good at it. So, we just got to make sure schematically that we understand we like where we're at as an offensive line. We like where we're at with our protections. So, and then in the run game, that's critical too. Let's just make sure we understand, we respect how good they are, but we'll put together a plan, they put together their plan, and then we go butt heads and see where it lasts. But ton of respect because they're really good and they've been that way.
Couple more, we'll start with Pete.
Thanks. It's been a few games since you've had Brown, Worthy, and Rice available. I guess as you kind of scouted those games, I guess do you feel like you're maximizing their ability on the field together?
As much as we can. There's times you kind of look back after a game and you look at some of the play time, where guys are and then where they at schematically. But like Coach said, week one, there's only one football. And I think when our guys understand that, which they do such a great job. I've been saying to everybody in here when we talk, the amount of selflessness that we have on this team. And I'm with it, internally with the offense. I see it. And you love that. And then as a person that's a part of this, as an offensive coordinator, you got to also do the therapy of making sure guys understand they might not have a bunch of catches or targets, but they're involved another way, and they got to appreciate that.
Are there any ways you hope to be better against the pressure than you were against the Bills?
Yeah, I mean, there's ways that we think we want to use. I'm not going to get into it schematically, obviously. No, I know. Internally here, but we feel like we have a good plan, and we know that, and they got good players. We like our offensive line players, and it's just about two good teams going at it, big game, big division game, and that's what I think everybody wants.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. All right, see you.
for Chris.
All right, we got Denver this week. Rivalry, a lot on the line in this game. Just talk about kind of the vibes in the locker room, kind of the atmosphere this week going into it.
Division game, we know is very important for where we want to be at the end of the year. So this game kind of counts as 2 games. Last year was very, very close physical games. So got a lot of respect for those guys, and we know what they bring to the table. So we're going to prepare well and be ready to play Sunday for 35. If I'm right.
Chris, you're able to Will, Mike Pennell back here. Do you go back to the same energy when you see Colin?
Absolutely. You got to get my brother back. Vet Breach and those guys do a really, really good job is getting us depth and getting guys that are familiar with the system back. So hopefully he's one of those guys that we can get back in the system.
Chris, how beneficial was the bye week for you? And just when you look back at your performance throughout the last couple of weeks, just how much can you improve on going into this back half of the season?
How was my performance?
I mean, I'd say you did pretty good overall, but I'm sure you have things that you would like to improve upon.
Yeah, we always got room for improvement. I think that's the goal throughout the season, be limitless. Don't hold no cap over yourself. And, the first half of the season for me was challenging, to say the least. But we got 8 more games to play. It's a lot of football left, and a lot of things can happen. It's never really how you start in this game. That's how you finish. Because the first 8 weeks or 9 weeks, it's kind of over. When you think about it, you don't know what we did the first 4 games. We lost a few, but you don't know what happened throughout the game. So that's the beauty of an NFL season. It's a marathon. And the journey of the marathon is longevity. So when you look back at the end of the season, then you probably see a different team than you see at the first 8 weeks, or a different player that you see at the first 8 weeks of the season.
Chris, when you said it's challenging to say the least, can you expand on that?
Challenging as in personal aspect and challenging as a team aspect. I think for me right now, I wish we was undefeated. I feel like I could have done some things better that put us in a better position. You go back to the first game of the season, I gave up outside contain. Maybe if I would have kept outside contain, maybe that's a game that it's not a loss, it's a win. So, the beauty of the bye week is self-evaluation. You can look at yourself and see how you can improve. Not anything else, just yourself. And I'm my biggest critic. I hold myself accountable more than anyone can. So, when I look at it, it's a lot of areas I can improve on. And we got a beautiful second half of the season for me to do that.
And I know that you've concentrated on a lot of the Broncos and their offense and their offensive line, but I wonder what your appreciation you have for what their defensive line has been able to do this year.
Good for them. No, don't really watch their defense. I have a lot of respect for their defense, but we play 2 different types of systems. Those are 3-4, which rush the passer with 5-4 guys. We're a 4-3 that still simulated pressure. So different schematics, different type of makeup of defense. But I have a lot of great deal of respect for BT Jordan, who is a pass rush coach over there, and their defensive coordinator.
Chris, when you do your self-evaluation, are you digging in the film? You just do it, thinking back through games, going over it with anyone else? What's that process like for you during the bye week?
Well, it's a little bit of both, because you watch film, you watch the games that for me, it's about games I didn't play as well to my standard as I wanted to. And I have a few mentors. I call like Britt Reed. Me and him are still very close. I call Terry Braden, guys that I'm very close with within the football circle. I call, get their opinion, because it's all about being limitless. And, and the beautiful thing about it is, man, it's 8 more weeks. 8 more weeks, then playoffs. So it's a good thing. It's a good way to recalibrate, recircle yourself. Understand it's not all good, but it's not all bad either. Yeah.
A couple more.
So when this week you guys are a couple games behind the Broncos. This is not where you guys have generally been. You've been the team who's ready to snuff the division out at this point of the year. Does it feel different around here that you guys are chasing this week than it's been the last several?
Every makeup of every team is different, and every marathon is different every year. Sometimes you start ahead of the race, you know what I mean? You start in the number 1 line, who is the closest, and sometimes you got to start up back. But for us, most importantly, it's about the climb. I think we're exactly where we need to be right now. We got a lot of great guys on this team, exceptional leaders and the coaches, and athletic department, and we got the team to do it. And we're where we at right now is where we need to be, and it's a great start. We get this 1-0 every week, and we'll be where we need to be at the end of the season. No need to panic.
Chris, what do you see from Bo Nix and just the Broncos offense as a whole?
They're killing it. They're killing it. They're playing well. They makes the game very easy for them, and they slow the game down for them. Play action passing, running the ball. When you can run the ball as efficient as they've been running, then it opens up for the quarterback with play action passes. So they've been doing a really, really good job. They got a head coach who I respect the heck out of. Seen him this summer over in Vegas. Said a couple words to him. So, I'm excited to play these guys, man. Division game is always tough, and it's the Denver Broncos.
Thanks,
Y'all take care.